Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, stories of survival. This week we're highlighting harrowing tales, ones that leave us shaking our heads and questioning how such things can happen to these poor animals. But more importantly, we're focusing on the rescue, the rehab, and the will to live. See how humans have helped these animals back to health and be inspired by their ability to trust again. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. The Birds of Paradise Sanctuary and Rescue is located in Manatee County, Florida. Its founder, Debbie Huckabee, believes that parrots are not suited for captivity because of their long lifespans. These birds require more than a lifetime of commitment from the humans who purchase them. The sanctuary is an ecosystem where rescued captive parrots can thrive in a stable environment, uniquely tailored to their characteristics and needs. And Debbie has had her share of unimaginable stories through the years. And more recently, she was called by Animal Services to help rescue a group of macaws who didn't have long to live in their current condition.
Hi, Kenai. These birds were without food and water for maybe 3 days. They were loved at one time. They were mistreated or neglected for months and months and months because of depression. They were emaciated. The place was a mess. He hadn't cleaned in months. The bird cages were stark, free of any toys. One cage didn't even have anywhere for the birds to stand. I think when people go through depression, maybe they don't feed their animals, they think about other things, and the animals always suffer and come last.
But birds are a little different. How do you know from a bird that they do have a will to live?
I guess just by their reactions when you meet them and when their willingness to come to you and their willingness to actually start eating again. I fed these birds before I left the premises and they were starving. I immediately took the birds to the vet when I went to pick them up to Dr. Bonda to make sure that we didn't need any life-saving measures. Dr. Bonda stated that they were on the verge of starving to death.
How did you turn them around?
It's just a matter of earning their trust. That's the most important thing with birds is letting them know you're not going to hurt them, earn their trust, and a continuous supply of food.
Now, can you feed them numerous times during a day?
Yes.
And how do they react to that? Do they come over and glom it up?
Well, yes, they do. I mean, they ate continuously. The next day, it was like they ate for hours. But they were thankful to be in clean cages. They were thankful to be out of that dark room. There was actually a koi pond in there, so all the moisture and the mold and the a horrible situation that they lived through for a couple of years. So it's almost like you could see them smiling.
But were they anxious? Because we have been with you so many times and we've seen some of the birds that pluck their feathers and do these things which we as humans have caused them the anxiety. Did you see this with them?
I saw it with 3 of them. One of them right away was just wanting my attention and wanting me to hold him, but the other 3 were very apprehensive. And 2 of them, the ones that didn't have a perch, didn't have anything to stand on in their cage, they spend most of their time hanging by their claws from the top of the cage because that's what they're used to.
Sure.
They don't know what a perch is.
Sure. Sure. So they were able to transfer their love and admiration to you immediately.
Yes.
You were the savior.
Well, you know, I'm a bird person, and just like you're a dog person. So when you walk up to a strange dog, there's already a feeling of familiarity, and the same with birds. I'm a bird person, so they automatically know that I'm going to take care of them. I have evolved into a person where when I walk in the door, I have an objective. I don't care about anything around me. I don't care who's there. My objective is to get the birds to safety. And I used to have a problem walking into people's homes where the birds were clearly abused and neglected. My demeanor changed, and I wanted to lash out and yell at them and call them names. But I learned that that's really not what this is about. It's about saving the birds.
That's right.
They are.
And then we always have to know that there are people like Debbie Huckabee and Birds of Paradise that will be there for you if you run into trouble, if you need help. It's very easy to pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I think I need help, rather than to just let them languish.
Exactly. And this is the third call that I've got, either from law enforcement or from a family member this year, where people have passed and left their birds. I would say they're big, they're loud, they're messy, but they can be one of the most loving birds there is. But you have to tailor your life around that bird. Your life is no longer your own. It's the birds. And they deserve that because they're such intelligent beings. They're like a small child. And it's your responsibility to take care of that bird like you would your own child.
For more on this sanctuary and to keep up with some of the birds, you can log on to birdsofparadise.org. And now we head east to a different kind of farm, a place we've highlighted before on Animal Outtakes. It's called Farmhouse Animal and Nature Sanctuary. They're another nonprofit organization that often receives calls from law enforcement to aid in the rescue and rehoming of abused and neglected animals. One in particular caught our attention.
We're at Farmhouse Animal Nature Sanctuary. This is our enclosed aviary. We have pigeons and ducks in here, as well as some conures and cockatiels. But this particular duck over here is a Muscovy. Her name is Emmy, short for Emerald. She was found in Tampa Bay area around Carrollwood 4 years ago with an arrow pierced through her neck. She wandered around for nearly 6 months before rescue rehabbers were able to finally catch her. They brought her to a vet and were able to remove the arrow, and she's doing beautifully. She's lived here with us ever since then. She doesn't, and most Muscovies don't make much noise to begin with, but she doesn't make any sound at all. There's no squawking like most ducks do. But she's perfectly content. She lives in here with one other Peking duck, who's over there, and a bunch of pigeons. This one definitely stuck out to us. The fact that somebody would shoot a duck with a crossbow just for fun and then leave them to die, which she didn't do. She lived with this in her neck. We have pictures of her. I actually still have the arrow. But yeah, the idea that somebody would just let that happen really stuck out. I do think that the animals can forgive, believe that they can forget, because you can see it in their behavior sometimes. It takes them a long time to trust humans. And many of our animals have been here for years and still don't even trust us, even though we feed them on a daily basis and make sure they have everything they need. But yes, I do think that they can forgive eventually and learn to trust humans again. It is a living being. I mean, every living being should have a right to live out its life. And for it to be tortured and then just left like that is just unfathomable to me. It does deserve to have some kind of respect, some kind of dignity. I just wish more people would see that. Yes, it's an invasive species by Florida law, but it's still a species, it's still an animal. It still needs to be able to live its life. we're happy that we were able to help her. We definitely want to be able to help as many as we can, but to be able to have her in here and relaxed and not feel threatened makes all the world of difference to me.
Coming up next on Animal Outtakes, we meet a goat who's got the hardware inside to keep him going.
Good morning, Mr. Benson. Your breakfast is served.
Time for another day in doggy paradise. I sure am one lucky pup.
Mr. Benson, would you like to go out for your morning stroll? The weather is quite lovely today.
That sounds wonderful. Don't mind if I do. After all that exercise, I think I'd like to lounge by the pool and maybe dip my paws in.
As you wish, sir. Right this way.
What a perfect day. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else but Donte's den while Mom and Dad are away.
At Donte's Den, we pride ourselves in providing the best experience for your beloved pup. Whether it be a day, a month, or a year, Donte's Den should always be at the top of your list for boarding. With an expansive campus, your dog will enjoy daily walks, pool time, and an endless supply of love. Even better, it's all under 24/7 supervision from our wonderful staff. If you're anything like us, your dog's safety and happiness come first. To learn more about Donte's Den, visit dontesden.org.
So this is Colt. He came to us back in July of 2020. He had been found down in Punta Gorda, wandering through a city street, just like he owned the place. The gentleman that found him went door to door, tried to see if anybody owned the goat. Nobody came forward. He called Animal Services. It was on a Sunday, so he wasn't able to get through to them. Called a few rescues, and nobody was able to help. So he called us, and we said, yes, please bring him up here. We'll see what we can do. But he was found with a severely broken leg. We called our vet. That she came right out that week and found that his shoulder was broken, and it had been broken for some time and re-healed. At that point, she thought the best thing to do was to amputate, but we didn't want to do that. We felt that that was going to limit him. He wouldn't be able to come out here with the herd. He really wasn't bad. He was tiny. In fact, they assumed that he was probably about 4 months old when he came to us, but they figured that the break in the leg happened very early on, so it was months that he was without any care. Yeah, I'm sure he was in a lot of pain. Yeah, you could see the leg. It wasn't straight the way it should have been, and he would not step on it whatsoever. So we reached out to Dr. Rose at Sarasota Veterinary, and he said, I'll do what I can do, and he came in and put a plate and 7 pins in his shoulder, and that was in 2020, and he's doing great now. Some people would say that's a lot for a goat. He was nearly $4,000 for surgery. But we put it out there to our supporters and followers, and we raised every penny we needed to get the surgery done. And we did it very quickly. I believe it was within a week we had the funds. And he became pretty much a mascot for Sarasota Veterinary Surgery. They have pictures of him with the whole staff. But you can see he gets along just fine. He headbutts with the rest of them and plays. He's very playful. He tried to knock me down this morning. But he couldn't have done this if we would have amputated his leg. He would have been stuck by himself, and that's no life for a goat. He definitely doesn't realize he had a disability. He goes on his daily life like the rest of the goats. They're headbutting and they're playing, and he climbs on the rock formations and just everything a goat should do. It did take a little while for him to be able to do that. The first year was a little tough. Not only that, but I think he may have been in somebody's house. The way he acted, he didn't act like a goat. I don't think he was ever around other goats. So it took him a little while to adjust, but once he did, he does great. But he is still very lovable, loves people, loves attention. He doesn't realize that people are not goats, so he will try to headbutt you. People like goats as pets. For inside, when they're babies, people will bring them in their homes, and it becomes an issue. You're either diapering the goat or they're pooping everywhere. They will start chewing very early on. They chew up furniture, just about everything. That's not the way a goat should live. A goat should definitely be in an environment that a goat needs, outside with sunshine and grass and weeds and things to climb on. So yeah, a goat as a pet is great if you can give it that outside environment. This is Winnie. She was a 4-H cow. The people that owned her had her boarded on a property that was sold to developers. So they had to move all of the animals out. There was several different 4-H families that had animals there. They were not able to find a dairy farm interested in her because she was born without a uterus. So she can't reproduce milk or reproduce babies. So their only other option was slaughter. So she came to us, and she had an issue with warts, but that's under control now. She has one lump there that the vet has to come out, but she's grown quite a bit. She's about 2.5 years old, and she just continues to grow. She's very playful. The volunteers love her, but she can get a little rambunctious, and she's knocked over a couple volunteers, so people have to be careful when they're in with her. But she's very happy and healthy now. With Winnie's case, like I said, she was a 4-H cow, so she was raised up with children loving her and grooming her and spending time with her. She wasn't raised as a dairy cow or a meat cow, which is still, not great, but the idea that they are not able to continue that life, to us, is very sad. We want to make sure that she can continue on as a pet, not somebody's dinner. She's very playful. She's like a big puppy. When she sees you coming from across the field, she starts running and her rear end is bouncing back and forth, and she's just very excited. She'll play ball. We have some large balls in there that she bats around. She's just like a big puppy. That's Yeesaw. Now, Yeesaw has not been able to be partnered with any other animal on this property. We've tried with big goats, we've tried with the horses, and he just beats them up. He's terrible. He fell in love with Winnie through the fence, and they will groom each other over the fence, so we decided one day to see if they would partner, and they've been best friends ever since. Winnie has to have regular hoof trims. They get vaccinations. We have fly control that we have to deal with. Other than feeding daily and making sure they have plenty of hay, that's really it. And of course, cleaning up the piles of manure on a daily basis. Right now, her future is spending the rest of her life here at the sanctuary. She'll be fed well and groomed and taken care of and gets lots of love and attention. If down the road we find a family that's looking for a companion cow, we may put her up for adoption. But right now, she's going to be a permanent resident here.
Coming up, more stories of survival after the break. Mable is a 1.5-year-old German Shepherd, and when she came to Donte's den, just brought tears to your heart, and I still think about it today. She came in from Hillsborough County. They begged us to take her, and when she walked through the door, her eyes were sullen. She kind of dragged her paws a little bit, and it was okay, I'll try again. She was being starved to death on purpose. I don't know why people would do this, but if you can't take care of your dog, or you don't want to take care of your dog, find a rescue or a sanctuary that's willing to do that. But she came in as a German Shepherd. She should have been around 60 pounds. She was 34 pounds. But she had the will to live. We saw that. It was in her eyes, even though they were sad, and for her it was just another bleak day. She kind of rallied with us, and she worked with us. Now, I have seen very bad situations of neglect and abuse, but I have to say she's probably in my top 3. When she came in, there were bones showing everywhere. Her skin was barely covering her bone structure, and she was just all ribs. There was nothing to her. So we started, and when you have a dog like that, you just can't give him a ton of food and hope that, okay, in 3 days, she's going to be the weight that she should be. You have to build slowly. And even though she was hungry and she was happy to have food, she was just gulping and chomping. And that's really the wrong thing, because then the organs internally can't keep up with it. So we started to give her little bits of food throughout the whole day. And she would come to the plate every time. She was happy to have the meal, but moreover, she was happy to be able to be outside, be at our pool, and she knew she was safe. She could sleep, nobody was going to bother her, and everybody loved her. Now, she's a whopping 52 pounds after about 2.5 months, and she is beginning to look healthy. Her coat has come around. It's beginning to be thick and shiny. She gets a little bit of egg, and she gets a special diet of pasta and ground beef, which she loves, along with her other foods and the vitamin supplements. She has shown us what it really takes to survive. She loves people, and I find this one hard to believe. It was humans that did this to her, but she forgave everybody. We have the best intentions for Mable, but the intentions can be all good. But if she doesn't want to participate, then we're fighting something else. But not Mable. She wanted to live. She wanted to be a part of Donte's den. She didn't know it when she came through the door, but she does now, and she's getting a lot of special attention. She's getting a lot of love from the staff. We introduce her to guests that come through, and I am positive that she will be our next special dog for Top Dog, our fundraiser, because she is an inspiration to just about everybody. And we'll be right back. Animal Outtakes is produced by Donte's Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Donte's Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dontesden.org. We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. And we'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some engaging encounters. Until then, thanks for watching.
We have a chicken roosting in an old pot up there. Like, what in the world? You never know around here. What? Let's see.